Good morning, summer school. This morning I did a quick presentation on narrative essay tips and tricks, and not everybody was available for that, so I wanted to make sure that people who missed that got to see this. So I'm going to go through a couple things with you guys really quickly. So in both courses, one of the first essays that you're writing is a narrative essay. Here's a few things to remember when writing a narrative essay. Number one, if you are writing something that is a personal experience, where it's something that happened to you, the best way to turn that into a narrative is to think of the experience like a story. So think of the experience like a story. So that might sound like you're supposed to be depersonalizing it, but that's not really the point. I mean, you can make this as personal as you want. You can use I. But when you think of it as a story, what you end up doing is you end up realizing that you yourself are a character in that story. And if you remember that you're a character in a story, then you remember also that character needs to be introduced, described, their emotions, their appearance. All of these things are things that you end up exploring and describing. If you're telling a story about you and your mom, then your mother needs to become a character. You might call her mom, that's fine. Describe her. Describe the relationship that exists between you, the emotions that you guys share, and things like that. So exploring those characters, introducing and developing those characters is important. On all of the rubrics on these narrative essays, the scores are based on how well developed your characters are. So making sure that you develop your characters, right? Thinking of yourself, your parents. If you're doing the essay on prejudice and there's a bully, right? Turn the bully, instead of saying, someone said to me this, you introduce this person. There was another student whose name was so-and-so. This person was well known for being a bully. This person was this, that, or the other thing. They were in this class. And I always tried to avoid them. Whatever. And then this person walked up to me and said this, and then that becomes like the event that you end up describing. The setting, in this case, maybe it's West Valley High School, or maybe it's Acacia Middle School. The event when this bully came up and said something terrible to me, right? Describe the setting, describe the event, maintain that arc through your story of the introduction, the climax, and the resolution, right? Maintain that arc where you start by introducing your characters, describing the setting and the event, right? Then you move through that to the climax, which is maybe, in this case, it's the meeting between you and the bully when the bully makes some remark, right? Use dialogue. Especially at that climactic moment. What are the things that were said? What was the prejudicial statement? If you're writing the one on the scholarship, what was the experience specifically? How can you turn that experience into a set of dialogue that occurred so that you can really create a climactic moment for your reader? And then, in all of these, you resolve by sort of exploring the emotions, the feelings, the learning experiences, what you learned about prejudice, what you learned about yourself, what you learned about the world around you, and that makes for a good resolution that sort of completes the arc of your narrative story. Okay? All really important things to remember. Next, one of the other things that I'm coming across a lot is people are, they have tons of punctuation mistakes, tons of grammatical mistakes because they're typing directly into Edgenuity. My advice, don't type directly into Edgenuity. Use Google Docs. If you have Microsoft Word, use Microsoft Word. Some kind of editing software or something like that so that it can help correct those mistakes, correct the punctuation. I said this morning, people are using I instead of I. I is always capitalized. This reminds me of people texting their friends. This is a formal academic setting, so you want to use formal academic language, punctuation, grammar, and other mechanics. So make sure that you're using an editing program or word processing software, and then get someone to read it. Get a second set of eyes on this, because oftentimes there are little tiny mistakes that we ourselves don't notice because we've read our work so many times. So getting that second set of eyes means they're going to fix all of those little things, help you fix those things. You can even share that with me, and I'm happy to go over it with you. Next, Rubrics and checklists. Let me just show you a couple examples. When I'm grading, this is the rubric that I have sitting in front of me. This is the rubric provided to me by Edgenuity for grading your guys' work. And you'll notice there a portion of this is conventions. Conventions are mechanical, grammatical accuracy. So errors in grammar, errors in mechanics, errors in punctuation, errors in spelling, right? So that's one set of conventions. And you'll notice it's 20, 40, 60, 80, 100. So if you completely botch this, if there's tons of lowercase i's, no commas, no sort of like tons of spelling mistakes, then you're probably going to get really low score on this, right? Sentence fluency. I'm getting a lot of mechanical mistakes in writing simple sentences. And then also a lot of repetition as opposed to varied sentences. So read through this. What does exceptional sentence fluency look like? It's extremely clear, extremely natural, not halting, flowing sentences, lots of variation in length and structure of your sentences, things like that. That's, you know, so this is the rubric. You guys have access to it. You can open it up. If you are unsure where to find it, you can get in touch with me, and I'll show you where. I'll even post this in the when I upload this video if you'd like me to. And then ideas, plot, setting, characters. This is the one that I keep hammering on talking about, right? Effective transitions in organization and structure. So you need to make sure and go through that you make sure you've done all those things. One way to make sure that you've done all those things is to use a checklist that is provided. When you use a checklist, you can make sure that you've done all the things necessary in order to get the best possible score. Go through, check the things off. If you haven't done them, then go back and make sure that you do them. If you forgot to have a second set of eyes on it, go through, make sure you get one. If you didn't use editing software, cut and paste it from Edgenuity into Google Docs. See if you can capture as much spelling, punctuation, capitalization errors as possible, right? Read your work aloud to make sure that it flows. All of those things like that. Okay, so just so you know, these are all things that will help you make sure that your narrative essay get the best possible grade the first time. Thank you, guys.